Roman Empire throughout its 1,000-year reign has become infamous for their terrible emperors and the horror stories that follow them, most commonly thought of as Nero and Caligula. But what if I told you that there is one emperor, even before them, that was even more depraved and sick? It being the second emperor of Rome, Tiberius Caesar Augustus. The stepson of the great Emperor Augustus, Tiberius ruled Rome from 14 AD to 37 AD. A military man, he is said to be one of the greatest generals and military minds of Roman history. During the early part of his reign, he was respected and admired for how aptly he ran Rome and helped it prosper. But under this success, his dark core could be seen through the cracks. As he began to age, Tiberius became more paranoid, fearing assassination, as well as an increasingly disapproving view of politics and court life. So in 26 AD, at the age of 67, Tiberius would move to the island Capri, located off the coast of Naples, Italy, where he had pleasure villas throughout the island. And here, in these pleasure villas, is where the elderly Tiberius would commit his horrible, terrible acts. Here in private, Tiberius lived through all his perverted sexual fantasies. Throughout the pleasure villas, he had constructed private baths where he would swim with little children called minnows. They would swim around him, nibbling and licking him across his body. But his depravity with these minnows doesn't stop there. For once he got bored of a minnow or he lost favor with them, he would throw them off a 1,000-foot cliff to their deaths. I mentioned earlier that when people think of horrible emperors, many times Caligula is the first to come to mind. But what if I told you that he learned his perversions from Tiberius, his grandfather? Actually, Caligula grew up and was raised on Capri with them. He himself was one of Tiberius's many minnows. Following the death of Tiberius in 37 AD, which many people believed that Caligula had something to do with it, he would send for the surviving minnows, and rather than giving them their freedom, he would drown and kill them all. This is just one example of Tiberius's sexual fantasies. Suetonius writes about how he brought in experts of sex of both genders to Capri for orgies and to please him, how he owned an erotic library so he could experiment, as well as owning a plethora of sexual paintings and statues that was located throughout all his pleasure villas. He would create in the gardens of the island a place known as the Old Goat's Garden, where he would have boys and girls dress up as nymphs and pans and commit sexual acts. He would have his way with any man or woman he desired, of high birth or low birth, and if they tried to reject him or speak against him, he would have them killed or horribly injured. His islands of pleasures and horrors would be his home for 11 years until his death in 37 AD. And when full knowledge of what he was getting up to on Capri reached the public, it shook the foundation of Roman beliefs. See, Rome didn't have a problem with pedophilia for the most part, as sex with slaves happened often and many times slaves were purchased as young children. But this practice was not something an emperor, the highest power in Rome, the figurehead of the empire, should be doing. He had already experienced a decline in support from his open dislike of politics, as well as his brusque, dour communication. But with this, his death was not mourned by many. People in the early days of his successor Caligula were actually excited for a new, better emperor, but they would soon discover that Tiberius had gotten his claws into Caligula, creating a dark, messed up individual who now would have control of the greatest empire in the world.
Alright, Shalom, all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to you, Akim, across the world, pushing this word in truth and in sincerity and maturity. And this is a video a brother sent me in our group message. And, it was really a response to a picture I put in there earlier. I don't really want to show it on here because I might get a flag. You know how Esau is. But it was showing your main man Biden, all right, with a child, with a small child, who knows where they were, and both the child and your main man Biden, they had no clothes on, so you can only imagine, which is you really don't want to imagine what was going on in that situation, and this is why we you know all these different cases of child pedophilia has came out on the so-called white men, the Caucasians. Why? Because they are the wicked. They are the Edomites. They are the same people that ruled during the Roman Empire. Why? Because this is nothing but the Roman Empire back again. All right. Let's get this scripture real quick. Let's go to Job 9:24. Because the earth would be given into the hand of the wicked. All right. The Edomites. This is Job chapter 9 verse 24. It says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Now in this video, you've seen that Tiberius, all right, was a known pedophile. All right, and he would have children, small children, which he called minnows. All right, and this is how sick these fucking Edomites are. They do the same thing. This is why you have these incidences called known as Pizzagate. All right, you have all the child molestation and pedophilia charges coming out of the Catholic Church, because these are nothing but the same people back again on the earth. All these Roman rulers, these Edomites. All right. And this is what came forth through what? That fourth beast, which we're living in the leg of. All right, the time period or the rulership and dominion of the wicked, spoken of and seen by Job. All right, Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? So these Edomites, all right, which I just showed a short of Tiberius and a little bit of Caligula. All right. And what they were into, the things they practiced, all right. And as you seen here at the end, the man said that child pedophilia was a common thing in ancient Rome. Okay, and now what is it? What happens here in America? What's a common thing that goes on behind the scenes? Child pedophilia, child molestation. All right, because there's no new thing under the sun. These are the same spirits, all right, and the same nation of people ruling as in the time of the ancient Roman Empire, the Greco-Roman Empire, not the Holy Roman Empire, which Jake ruled. The Greco-Roman Empire, which consisted of a lot of these leaders such as Tiberius, Caligula, you know, and all these different Caesars, all right, and all these different leaders that were set up during that time. You had the four generals of Alexander the Creep, which was another homosexual. All right, you had the Seleucus, one of his generals, which Antiochus Epiphanes came out of. So during the time of the Greeks and the Romans, all right, you'll see that it is similar in comparison of the acts going on in secret here in America in the times we're living in now. Why? Because it's the same spirits, it's the same nation of people, the wicked, the Edomites. Let me see something real quick. Let's go to let's get Ecclesiastes. Let's get Ecclesiastes 8, verse 11. Ecclesiastes 8, actually, Salakia. Was it 9 and 1? Let's see here, no new thing. Yep, Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 8, verse 9. It says, the thing that hath been, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, all right, the combined Greco-Roman Empire, where all this pedophilia, child molestation, homosexuality, all right, during this time, all right, of these different rulers, such as Tiberius, Caligula, all right, during that time, child molestation and child pedophilia went on, which things are vile. Okay, these are vile things, and the same thing is going on in this generation we're living in now. Why? Because it's the same Roman Empire. That some of the same spirits are back doing the same thing. All right, Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time which was before us. All right, so the child molestation, the child pedophilia we see coming out of the Catholic Church. All right, Pizzagate. All right, different types of files and picture leaks of your politicians and the important people that you people love in America is coming out. All right, and they're being found with children, small children, and I think a lot of these children are Jakes. All right, from the northern kingdom, southern kingdom. All right, this is why you have a lot of children disappear. All right, from the northern and southern kingdom, and even Edomite children, even heathen children, because we live in a society where what the rulers are pedophiles and child molesters, just like the Roman Empire, just like the Greek Empire. Okay, nothing is new under the sun with these are the same spirits, the same nation of people ruling in that same wickedness. Let me see something. Let me get a scripture. Whose wound was healed. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. It says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard." That's the Greek Empire. "And his feet were as the feet of a bear." So the beginning of this wickedness, the beginning of the wicked on the earth was through what? Through the Greeks, through Alexander the Great. And it's going to be ended now in the time we're living in now by who? The Russians, which is that bear, the feet of a bear. It says, "In his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." The deadly wound was what? The time that Jake took them down. All right, I believe it was through Septimius Severus. I think that's in the book of Revelation 20. All right, let me just get that real quick. Let's skip over to it, because when we wounded them, is when Jake came into power and ruled for that 1,000 years afterwards, up until the time of the Renaissance, which is when which means rebirth, which is when they came back into their power, and it's known as, and we're living in it now, which is also known as that little season. All right, this is Revelation 20. So these Edomites are back. The Roman Empire, Greco-Roman Empire, is back on the earth in the spirit, and is known as what? America, Babylon the Great, NATO, and the EU. All right, it's that same thing coming back. This is Revelation 20 with the same wicked, vile acts. All right, homosexuality. Look at the homosexuality around the earth. Same thing. The alphabet crew. All right, child molestation, pedophilia, all that stuff, man. It's back through this nation of people ruling on the earth in these last days. The wicked. All right, Revelation 20:1. "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years." That's when we came into power. Okay, this is when he received that wound. Okay, verse 3. "And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up." The bottomless pit is Europe. "And shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more." So this nation of people, the Edomites, the wicked, the so-called Caucasian man, woman, and child, they were always known as the deceivers of the earth, the devil. All right, the word devil in the Latin, all right, is diablos, which means a deceiver. So they were always a deceitful, treacherous, evil, wicked, vile people, which is why they're known as the wicked. Read Malachi, the 1st chapter. All right, and they're being saved for what? These last days of destruction. All right, verse 3. "And he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season." We're living in that little season now. We're in the end of it. All right, he came. The Lord let him loose during the Renaissance period, which is known as the rebirth of what? The Edomites' power structure on the earth. All right, which would be the end of their blessing given to them by Isaac. All right, we're living in the end of the blessing, the small blessing that's not eternal like Jacob's blessing, which is a blessing coming for us, the kingdom of heaven. But Isaac did bless them, all right, with the fatness of the land for a little season, which is what we're living in now, and we're living in the end of it. Matter of fact, let's see if there's any more. All right, let's go back to Revelation 13, because these are the wicked. This isn't. If you can't see the similarities of the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, and that the vile terrible, evil, wicked things they're doing compared to this kingdom, which is basically the reincarnation of it.